Perfection. Watch out, Martin Lawrence Bullard. There's a new decorating king in town. People of YouTube, welcome to my channel. I'm Ishe Jindu or Zinyati, back at it again with the final video in my home improvement upgrading series. We went over everything from renovating to remodeling, and now we're finishing it off with refurnishing your property. So subscribe for real, like this video, share this video, and let's get into it. So firstly, before we get into it, if you haven't watched part 1 and 2 of the series, renovating and remodeling, what are you doing here? Go watch them, pause, come back, I'll still be here. But if you have done it, let's get into it. As always, to make sure we're on the same page, let's begin with the definition. Furnishing is the provision of furniture, fittings, and any decorative accessories to your property, whether inside your home or outside on your landscaping. So remodeling is the skeleton of the person, renovating is the body, and furnishing is the clothes on your back. And as equally as clothes maketh man, furnishing maketh your property. If you're not willing to remodel or renovate your home, the very least and probably the most important thing you could do is make sure your property is furnished correctly. And as with the other two categories of home improvement I talked about, there's always two aspects of it: refurnishing for yourself or refurnishing your home for the market. And continuing the theme of this series, we're going to be talking about refurnishing your home for the market. Let's get into it. That whole linking of furnishing with buying a suit holds a lot of weight to it, because furnishing is really connected with staging your property, which is pretty much the equivalent of an interview with your boss. And the same way any guy would dress up real nice for their interview, rent out a suit and all that, is exactly what you can do with your property. Staging isn't about selling your property with the look, it's all about selling the property with its maximum potential. So this can be anything from making your home seem more family friendly, more like a bachelor or bachelorette pad, more modern, more contemporary, more classical, more whatever your potential buyer is looking for. And usually when it comes to putting your home on the market, unless you're selling in some specific niche location known for a specific look, you're pretty much going to be focused on making your home as inviting and all-encompassing as it could possibly be. You don't want to turn away any prospective buyers, so you want your home to be as inviting as it can be. Everyone and anyone should be able to see themselves buying your home, living in it, and personalizing it for themselves. You don't necessarily want it to be a blank canvas with nothing on it, but you want it to be spruced up simply enough that anyone can understand what you're going for and anyone can work on building upon it in order to make something more personal to them. And to accomplish this, there are 3 categories of consideration that you need to pay attention to: color and patterns, form and lighting, space and anchors. And these are all going to be focused with the room you're in, the furniture in that room, and the decorations you utilize in that room, or outside if you have outdoor furniture. Your ultimate goal isn't to have everything looking the same, it's to have everything synergistically matching, where each aspect and element is building on top of each other to make something special. And as a man with 2 Pinterest boards completely dedicated to furnishing properties with over 1,500 pins, I think I know what I'm talking about here. And most likely we're gonna have a lot more conversations on this topic with specific niching to each room and exactly what you can and should do for each element. But for today, we'll keep it open and semi-surface level for just the basics of what you should know about furnishing right. So it's possible you might be thinking to yourself, you know what, this furnishing thing sounds a bit complicated, a bit like it requires too much effort and everything. And to be completely honest, you're right. If you are furnishing your home for yourself to personalize it and customize it and get everything to look just right for what you're looking for, luckily you're not doing this. The way you're furnishing your home is completely focused on the market and what the market wants. And luckily we pretty much have this down to a science. If you're furnishing your home for the market, you don't have to go too detailed on each aspect on the 3 categories that I spoke on. As I mentioned before, you're just trying to get your home as easy to imprint on and as easy for them to imagine they can work on it in order to make their dream home. You're not selling people their dream home, you're selling people the potential to build their dream home. So let's start it off with number one, color and patterns. And this is probably the easiest one to understand on the market. Number one rule, you probably want to stay away from patterns as much as you can. Patterns are one of those things that are just a little bit too loud and overbearing in rooms if it wasn't by your choice. They have that element to them where if it's not exactly the pattern you wanted, you don't want it at all. But at the same time, it becomes difficult to imagine the room without the patterns. Where most people could admit that a beige room may be a little bit bland, bland is exactly what you're going for. A beige neutral color on your walls is easy to adapt, tweak, and change without any apprehension, and the color mostly matches with all sorts of colors for furniture and accessories, ebony furniture, vinyl plank floors, carpet floors, whatever you want. A beige neutral color is easy to go by. The easier it is for them to imagine changing it, the better it is for you on the market. And after colors and patterns comes form and lighting. And when it comes to form, we're talking about the shapes of the room, the furniture, and the fittings. Angles, ovals, circles, and squares. Every shape in that room makes up the form factor of the property. But to be completely honest about the form of the furnishing, it's not really the most important thing, especially when it's compared to its other half, lighting. Lighting is probably the single most important thing to incorporate properly in your property, whether it's organic light from windows and the sun, or it's a natural light that you get from the lights in your room. Lighting is absolutely important. So try your best to coordinate your room that it gets the most lighting, which might involve remodeling and renovations. But if you don't want to tear your home apart in order to improve the lighting, invest in some bright and vibrant lights for that room. And finally, after that, we move to the final category of furnishing, which I personally consider to be the most important category of all the other categories in furnishing, and that is spacing and anchoring. And so that we're all on the same page. Spacing when it comes to furnishing isn't necessarily about how big your room is, which is more under remodeling. It's about how big your room feels. And when it comes to the feeling of size, bigger is always better. Have you ever done a bit of fiddling around in your bedroom? Move your bed here, move a cabinet there, bingo, bongo, magical presto, your room starts to feel bigger. You haven't necessarily gotten rid of anything, but somehow the way you've mapped it all out just makes your room feel more spacious. That's the exact feeling that you want to cultivate when you're furnishing your property. You don't want to make it feel that the prospective buyers or renters of your property have to sacrifice on what they want to put in the room in order to make the room feel like theirs. You want to make it feel as if this room has enough space to put exactly what they want to put in it, and then some. And to do this can be as simple as decluttering the rooms. Sometimes as the years go past, you start to just throw things in every room without ever really needing them. So by stripping the room to just the essentials of what you usually need in this room can infinitely make it feel more open, more free, and more inviting. But sometimes the furniture you have is exactly what's making the room feel cluttered. And in that situation, you might want to talk to your agent about renting out some staging furniture to just be there for the sake of window dressing whenever you're having an open house or a private showing. It's the furniture that's in your home when it's being advertised. Staging is super important. As I mentioned earlier on, if you're not going to remodel and you're not going to renovate, you absolutely have to stage. People can fall in love with the look more than the layout. So make sure you stage as best as you can. Following spacing comes anchoring your room. And anchoring is where accessories really play a key role in furnishing your property. We're not talking about anchoring, we're talking about that key aspect of your room that just draws people's eye to it. This can be anything from a bookshelf, a TV, antique furniture, art on the walls, a different textured wall. Anything that naturally draws people's attention to it is the anchor of a room. Fireplace, table, artwork, whatever. Remember, the anchor is meant to naturally draw people's attention to it. It's not supposed to be some car crash that doesn't look appealing but obviously gets people's attention. It's both supposed to naturally draw people's attention and complement the rest of the room. And believe you me, every room naturally has an anchor, a main focal point. You want to make sure you use it and control it as best you can. But that's it, folks. Future subscribers, future clients, you officially know the basics of everything you need to understand about upgrading your property, from remodeling to renovating to refurnishing. You've graduated from the introduction school of upgrading your home. I'll occasionally pop in and out of this series to talk about more specific niches about upgrading your property, but for now you understand everything you need to. Before I head out, as I've been doing, I'm gonna leave you with 3 tips of what you should pay attention to in the aggregate of upgrading your furnishings. Starting off with number 1, make sure you have access to a storage room, storage container, or a friend who you can nag to take all your stuff. When you start decluttering your home, you're gonna realize you have a lot more useless things when it comes to the sake of advertising your property than you most probably should have. So you're gonna have to pack that stuff away. Remember, you need to de-home your home and turn it back into a house so other people can come look at it and make it a home for themselves. You understand? Good. Number 2, never use furniture to hide the defects and flaws of your property. You're gonna be caught, you're gonna be embarrassed, and most importantly of all, it's going to be used against you to lower the value of your home. If you don't want to fix it, tell them about it up front. Never try to hide defects of your property, because if they find out, they'll use it against you, and once they tell you, if you don't tell anyone else who looks at your property, it becomes illegal. And finally, number 3, keep your property clean. I swear I've been saying this throughout everything from refurnishing to remodeling to renovating. Every time, the most important thing you can do for your property when it's on the market is keep it clean 24/7. You never know when someone wants to come in for a private showing, and that person who comes for a private showing could be the person who's looking to buy your property. But if everything is stained, dirty, messy, and dusted, you're gonna lose out on the most important impression, the first impression. So keep your property clean. And finally, that's it. We're done. Subscribe for real. Like this video, share this video. ishajindo@ivafrica.com for any business inquiries. Go and watch another video. They're all top quality, and I'll see you next time. Peace.